Every football fan knows Roberto Carlos, the bald Brazilian left-back of the 92nds. He was often used as a striker by PlayStation 1 gamers due to his speed and rocket-like shooting. However, it turns out that Roberto Carlos was indeed used as a left winger by English coach Roy Hodgson when he was still at Inter Milan in 1995. However, a dispute arose between them, which Real Madrid exploited. Real Madrid benefited from this, as Roberto Carlos was finally persuaded to move to the Bernabeu in 1996. It was at Real Madrid that Roberto Carlos slowly became known as a world star. He won a plethora of trophies during his time with Los Blancos, both at domestic and European level. But his most iconic goal was his stunning goal in a friendly against France in 1997. He curled the ball into the net with a powerful free kick. The free kick was so curved that it became known as the banana kick. That's why many people call him the best left back in Real Madrid history. However, the former Brazilian national team player actually said there was someone better than him. And that person is Marcelo Veira. Marcelo is the best left back in Real Madrid history. He can do everything. He's not only good at defending, but he can attack with dribbling and score goals, he said. Marcelo's playing style is indeed similar to Roberto Carlos. He's small, energetic, and quick, and his cutting runs often trouble opponents. However, Marcelo is considered to have more refined individual technique and ball control, which allows him to often operate as a playmaker on the wing. Both players became legends with Los Galacticos, leaving an indelible mark on the Spanish capital club. However, before being considered one of the best left-backs in Real Madrid history, the curly-haired player's childhood was not much different from his seniors. Born on the 12th of May 1988 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Marcelo grew up in the Catete neighborhood of Rio. The neighborhood was home to many poor families, and Marcelo's family was one of them. His low-income parents couldn't afford all of Marcelo's desires. Despite this, he remained a happy little boy thanks to football. In an effort to help his family financially, Marcelo chose football as his path. However, because his family was very poor, he was initially unsure how to pay for football training. His confusion was resolved when his grandfather agreed to cover all his expenses. Even when Marcelo first received his football salary, he gave it all to his grandfather. However, Marcelo lost his beloved man forever. His grandfather passed away in June 2014. As a token of his gratitude, Marcelo said he often dedicated his goals to him. Before starting his career as a professional footballer, Marcelo played futsal. At the age of 13, he joined the Fluminense Academy. He spent approximately 3 years in the youth team before competing with his teammates on the senior team. Despite his growing hopes, Marcelo was on the verge of failing to become a famous footballer. He no longer had enough money to pay for his training. However, Fluminense agreed to cover all of Marcelo's expenses. This was done after the Rio de Janeiro-based club deemed Marcelo a potential future star for Brazil. After resuming his career, Marcelo's talent was finally recognized across the continent, having excelled during 2 seasons at Fluminense. In January 2007, Real Madrid signed him for a fee of 6.5 million euros. His move to the Santiago Bernabeu marked the beginning of an unforgettable legend. However, after officially arriving at the Santiago Bernabeu, his tenacity was tested again. Marcelo revealed that he was nearly thrown out by Real Madrid. The Real Madrid sporting director called me. He said the club wanted to loan me out. They wanted me to gain experience, but I thought if I left Madrid, there was a chance I wouldn't be able to come back, he said. This wasn't without reason. Marcelo came to Spain at the age of 18, when Roberto Carlos was still in his prime at the Santiago Bernabeu. Management believed he would struggle to compete with Roberto Carlos. However, Marcelo firmly refused, preferring to work hard to earn the coach's trust. Meanwhile, Roberto Carlos, aware of Marcelo's loan plans, immediately rejected Madrid's request. Carlos seemed to know that his junior on the Brazilian national team had great potential. Consequently, the club canceled the loan deal. Sure enough, his efforts were not in vain. In his first season with Real Madrid, Marcelo played several times as a substitute for Roberto Carlos, who was then the star left-back for Real Madrid. Despite all his hard work, Marcelo successfully contributed to the La Liga title in his first season. After seeing his juniors start to develop, Roberto Carlos was the one who surprised many, where he chose to leave Real Madrid precisely in the summer of 2007. Carlos's departure from Real Madrid had provided a breath of fresh air for Marcelo to make himself the main choice. Unfortunately, the arrival of new coach Bernd Schuster at the start of the 2007 to 2008 season dashed those hopes, with Schuster bringing in Gabriel Heinz and Royston Drenthe. For about a month, the two players were preferred to the left-back position. Although Roberto Carlos was only 5 feet 6 inches tall, his shadow seemed to stretch across the Bernabeu pitch. Even after his move to Turkey, the shadow and legacy of the Bullet Man still hung over Marcelo every time he stood on the left wing of the towering Colosseum, and it weighed heavily on the young man's shoulders, with occasional whistles and jeers from the crowd adding to the psychological pressure. He wasn't just replacing a regular left-back, he was replacing a player widely considered the greatest of all time. Roberto Carlos won 4 La Liga titles, 3 Champions Leagues, 2 Copa Americas, and 1 World Cup. Individually, he was twice named Best Defender and even finished runner-up to Ronaldo in the 2002 Ballon d'Or. It's no secret that hard work pays off in football's meritocratic system, and Marcelo eventually took over the position. He also managed to win over the coaches and fans alike. By the end of the 2007 to 2008 season, he finally began to flourish and started 11 of the final 16 La Liga matches as Los Blancos successfully defended their title. Unfortunately, entering the 2008 to 2009 season, Schuster was sacked for failing to manage the team's mentality despite successfully defending the league title. The arrival of new manager Juande Ramos had an impact on Marcelo, who found himself on the bench for most of the remainder of the season. This was due to Juande Ramos's preference for the more defensive-minded Gabriel Heinz. However, when Ramos played Marcelo, he preferred to deploy him as a winger. The player responded positively, adapting well to the winger's role. He even scored his first goal after receiving a backheel pass from Gonzalo Higuain and slotting the ball past the goalkeeper in Madrid's 4-0 victory over Sporting Gijón. At first, I was surprised when the coach put me on the left wing, but I liked it because I always try to get forward and score goals, he said.
Setelah pertandingan, pelatih Ramos menyatakan bahwa masa depan Marcelo akan diposisikan sebagai pemain sayap, tetapi akan mundur ke pertahanan jika diperlukan. Marcelo mencetak gol keduanya untuk Real Madrid dalam kemenangan atas Almeria, dengan sebuah tendangan keras dari luar kotak penalti.
However, their failure to defend their La Liga title, which was ultimately won by arch-rivals Barcelona, prompted Madrid's management to change managers again. This time, Chilean Manuel Pellegrini was entrusted with designing Los Blancos' tactics. Under Manuel Pellegrini, Marcelo consistently featured in Madrid's starting 11 due to his versatility and pace on the left wing in both offensive and defensive roles. He continued to be used as a left winger under Pellegrini and reached the top of the La Liga assists charts in the 2009-2010 season. Marcelo admitted in a press conference at the end of 2009, "I now feel better playing as a winger." His successful performances in Real Madrid's 2009-2010 campaign earned him a contract extension on the 5th of February 2010, which kept him at the club until June 2015. Unfortunately, that season they again failed to compete in Europe or domestically. Despite Madrid's extensive spending on top players, including Kaká, Benzema, and Cristiano Ronaldo, Pellegrini was ultimately sacked and replaced by Jose Mourinho, who had just achieved great success with Inter Milan. The arrival of Jose Mourinho at the start of the 2010-2011 season saw Marcelo revert to his natural position as left-back. He was the coach who played a key role in Marcelo's transformation into a complete left-back, capable not only of attacking but also of defending. He taught him to play more aggressively and emphasize the importance of stealing the ball. However, in his first summer at the Santiago Bernabeu, Mourinho also signed Portuguese left-back Fabio Coentrão, who arrived in 2011 for a then-record fee of €30 million. This threatened Marcelo's place as a first-team regular the previous season. But once again, Marcelo has held his own, truly establishing himself as a complete left-back, playing both attacking and defensively. Meanwhile, Coentrão joins the likes of Raul Bravo, Miguel Torres, Drenthe, and Heinze in the race for a starting spot. He showcased his attacking flair and defensive prowess, opening the scoring with his first Champions League goal and providing the assist for Karim Benzema's goal, ultimately being named Man of the Match, which Real Madrid won 3-0, advancing to the quarterfinals for the first time since 2004. Marcelo then continued his brilliant season by scoring in the second leg of the semi-final against Barcelona at Camp Nou. Although the match ended 1-1, Real Madrid lost 3-1 on aggregate, having lost the first leg 2-0 at the Bernabeu. Marcelo was widely praised by media outlets around the world during that season, with many calling him the best left-back in the world. Diego Maradona even stated that he was the third best player in La Liga, after Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. Together with Jose Mourinho, Marcelo was able to win 3 titles, namely La Liga 2011-2012, Copa del Rey 2010-2011, and Spanish Super Cup 2012. Then after that, Mourinho left to manage Chelsea. Since joining Real Madrid in the 2006-2007 season and continuing through the 2021-2022 season, Marcelo has experienced the coaching experience of 8 different coaches, from Fabio Capello to Carlo Ancelotti. Following Mourinho's departure, Carlo Ancelotti took over, making Marcelo an irreplaceable member of the first-team squad. Although Ancelotti occasionally opts for Fabio Coentrão in certain matches due to his defensive prowess, Marcelo's presence on the left flank can significantly alter the course of a match. For example, when they reached the 2013-2014 Champions League final against Atletico Madrid at Lisbon's Deleuze Stadium on the 24th of May 2014, Marcelo came on for Fabio Coentrão in the second half, where he successfully completed 12 crosses and attempted 1 shot. Marcelo also contributed the third goal, a solo dribble through the heart of Atletico's defense. Seeing an opening, he shot the ball without hesitation. His presence on the left flank also provided Di Maria with more freedom of movement. Marcelo's form declined under Rafael Benitez during the 2015-2016 season. Under Benitez, the center-backs and defensive midfielders couldn't fill the void left by Marcelo's rise to prominence in attack. Benitez seems to be giving Marcelo extra responsibility in both defense and attack without the assistance of center-backs or defensive midfielders to cover space. Furthermore, Madrid's wingers like Cristiano Ronaldo are reluctant to drop back into defense. As a result, space often opened up on the left side of Madrid's defense, making it an easy target for opponents. However, there was also some disobedience from the players towards Benitez at that time. The dressing room situation during the Benitez era was indeed quite tense, including Ronaldo, who reportedly objected to having to drop back to support the defense. This contrasts with Zinedine Zidane's coaching style, which was considered more conducive and maintained the players' mentality. The players appeared to follow his instructions. Marcelo also became a crucial element of Zidane's strategy, which favored fast-paced possession. Moreover, the tendency of Madrid's attacks in the Zidane era was mostly directed towards the left side, where Marcelo and Ronaldo played. Marcelo and Ronaldo helped each other exploit the opponent's defense. There, a combination of both is created. Marcelo provided good support for Ronaldo, providing at least 26 passes on target to him. Zidane continues to employ a counter-attacking system similar to Ancelotti, making Marcelo a crucial attacking contributor. Under Zidane's guidance, Marcelo also doesn't mind being restricted in his attacking aggression when he has to defend. However, it's when defending that Marcelo is given the freedom to initiate attacks. One of the keys to Marcelo's ability to play well is having a loyal partner who supports him. At Real Madrid and the Brazilian national team, there's always a center back or defensive midfielder willing to protect his defensive area when attacking. The system was quite capable of dealing with opponents with agile and fast wingers, even though Marcelo concentrated on building attacks with Ronaldo. Unsurprisingly, during Zidane's two-term reign, from 2016 to 2021, Real Madrid won 11 trophies. But most astonishingly, they won a hat-trick of Champions League titles, making Real Madrid the first club to achieve this feat. Marcelo is a pure left-back who is full of skills, especially when it comes to dribbling the ball. Another ability is his ability to hold the ball well, which is useful when defending the ball on the flanks. This skill allows him to create space for his teammates, allowing them to expand, including himself, as one of the best attacking left-backs in the world today. It could be said that his attacking and defensive abilities surpass those of his Brazilian senior, Roberto Carlos. Despite his shortcomings, Marcelo was unable to deliver a World Cup trophy with Brazil, as Roberto Carlos did at the 2002 World Cup. Marcelo spent most of his career at Real Madrid, the club that made him famous and became the focal point for his dazzling performances. Marcelo left an unforgettable mark as one of the greatest left-backs of all time. He managed to make Real Madrid fans forget Roberto Carlos, the legend who was once the star of the left-back roster at the Bernabeu. With Real Madrid, Marcelo won 22 major titles, including 5 Champions Leagues, 6 La Liga titles, and 4 FIFA Club World Cups. He made 528 appearances for Real Madrid, scoring 38 goals and providing 103 assists. Marcelo then ended his time with Real Madrid at the end of the 2021 to 2022 season, joining several clubs before finally retiring from professional football at the age of 36, which was announced on the 6th of February 2025, ending a stellar 16-year career.